Palestinians also believe that the land of Palestine is all encompassing of Israel. So when you talk about occupation,
it was
Hamas, and Hamas is talking about what happened during the second. And it doesn't matter. They go in and they murder people. So you're talking about going in and murdering people. That's what it's actually talking about. That is the answer. No. It's not contextualizing. It's what legitimately happened as part of history. They went in and they murdered people. That's a fact. They went in and they murdered people. That's a fact.
And so Israel has globalized the Intifada.
All right, we're moving off the topic.
You can take your Intifada and you can go to Palestine and go kill your own people.
Well, very recently on the one and only Piers Morgan Uncensored, you had two former heads of the UK Special Forces that buried evidence, that's right, of alleged war crimes by the SAS in Afghanistan. And this is according to evidence that was given by a high-ranking officer to a public inquiry. Sorry about that. And the Piers Morgan bits are obviously quite entertaining, but there's so much we can extract from it. I haven't done a bit on Piers in a really long time. My team just sent me this. So let's, let's take a look. And if you are brand new to this channel, I'm the other Barack. I'm coming to you live and direct here from the holiest land of lands, Israel. We are here in the holiest land, providing you a boots on the ground reality that mainstream media never shows you. If you have not already, please smash that subscribe button. Let's
The people inside of Afghanistan, 100%, are the Taliban. In 2012, when I was over there, it was very rare to see a Taliban flag flying across the villages. In 2016, 17, and 18, when I was over there, they were everywhere. Pierce, my very last operation, driving off of a target back to the base, there's Taliban flags just flying all throughout these villages. They have cemeteries with Taliban flags planted, everything. You had police officers, military, everybody that was like affiliated with the Taliban in one way, shape, or form. We couldn't even get workers to come onto camp with proper vetting because they also had affiliations with ISIS and the Taliban. It's not a joke. This needs to get looked at. And absolutely, the people that served side by side with U.S. veterans over there have every right, in my opinion, and most veterans' opinions, to be in this country because they have done more for this country than most Americans. But to sit here and try to claim that we're going after Muslims or that we're going after anybody else is a lie. Those same Muslims that myself and my brothers invited into this country and signed our name to would stand side by side and vouch for the exact same things that I'm saying, that there is evil in that country and that it is involved within the civilian population, and trying to claim otherwise is a freaking lie. And it's doing absolutely nobody any good. And those types of lies are what gets people killed inside of the United States of America.
Well, it seems like the U.S. made the problem worse because in your own statement, you said when you first started going into there, you didn't see the Taliban flags. And then by the time, decades later, it's worse. And it's this destabilization, the power vacuum.
Let's talk it. No, it's not destabilization and a power vacuum. There's a power vacuum and destabilization that existed before we went there. That's just a fact. All right. The Taliban ran the country. We ended up putting in a government, and the United States government has absolutely zero business, as far as I'm concerned, or most veterans are concerned, going in and trying to conduct a regime change in any type of country. We suck when it comes to nation building. Our record's horrible. Even if we look at Iraq and we talk about what's going on over inside of Iraq and them trying to pass laws for 9-year-old girls to be able to get married to grown men. All right. That's not exactly what I would call a huge victory for democracy. All right. But over inside of Afghanistan, the moment we pull out, we have 6-year-old girls getting married off to grown men. 10% of the girls inside of Afghanistan under the age of 15 end up getting married off. And I think it's an absurd number. It's like 60% or something like that end up getting married off before they're even 18. And this is their family selling them off to older grown men. And don't even get me started on chai boys.
No, I think one thing that, people haven't focused on enough is the fact that the violence begets violence, that the violence that the U.S. Imperialists, take on abroad will come back to the U.S., whether it's through immigrants or people, whose families go back generations in the U.S. Look at the attempted, Trump, the person who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. Look at the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk. These aren't migrants. These are people, who've lived here. So the U.S. continuously being involved in violence abroad has only made this situation worse. And there isn't these types of mass shootings happening all around the world. This is something that we see exclusively happening in the U.S. And instead of that being addressed, mental health being addressed, pulling out of wars across the world, we have ICE raids that are basically just a show of force, wreaking havoc on cities like New York City. An ICE raid was thwarted here just a couple of days ago from protesters. And then Palestinian activists like Mohsen Mahdawi, like Mahmoud Khalil, being targeted. So at the end of the day, this isn't about
Nadine, do you think that
I'm gonna just jump in real quick here. I mean, this is where I guess like the conversation should always end. I'm always waiting for that moment when I'm watching these videos of like where does the friction start? Where not start, but where does the friction sort of expand? And what's the point of contention? And it's this right here. When you have a conversation about Israel-Palestine and one of the sides of the conversation fundamentally says that somebody like Mahmoud Khalil was targeted and doesn't understand and agree with the fact that one of the reasons that was happening is because this man was publicly on a Ivy League campus in America, in the streets of America, not only shouting for the death to America, but also advocating for more people to speak on behalf of a internationally recognized terrorist organization. If that person is not going to also concede with you about the fact that that is a terrorist organization, the conversation should just end there. That's just my opinion. You're going to go down these sort of like rabbit holes for no reason, because the fundamental prerequisite for both of you to agree on at least the fact that Hamas is a terrorist organization and the fact that you can't get there means that everything else from that point on is going to disperse. I mean, think about it. You have the same story but two books. Each person's reading a different book. They're going to have two different ways of looking at the story. That's just how this is.
That undocumented immigrants in America who commit crimes unconnected to their immigrant status should be deported.
I mean, that's not what's been happening, though. They've been going after
No,
people.
I know. I have the same concerns about those who have not committed other crimes. But do you think specifically that if they're undocumented and they commit another crime, they should be deported?
You know, I think at the end of the day, these things should, play out.
It's either yes or no, isn't it? I mean, I just think there is universal agreement pretty much.
Sure, but people are being accused of crimes that they didn't commit.
But if they're convicted of a crime,
accused of a thought crime,
if they're convicted of a crime,
if they're convicted of a crime, he was accused of a thought crime. So I'm not going to say that somebody
if they're convicted of a crime
should be deported.
Right. Okay, but that's the problem.
First of all, if you're in the United States on a visa screaming "globalize the Intifada," your ass needs deported. Period. End of discussion.
Exactly.
Would you like to explain what the first and second Intifadas are? Would you like to?
Because they want to say globalize the Intifada is a crime, and that's a deportable
explain what the
offense.
first and second Intifada
This is why your
were.
question is
what
a
the first
straw
and
man.
second Intifada were.
What did I just say? What did I literally just say? You see what I mean? This is the psychological phenomenon that's occurring, where there is a complete reversal of ideology. They're on the opposite spectrum of this conversation, people. That's why these debates are stupid, in my opinion.
Go ahead, explain the first and second Intifada, and then we'll discuss why they shouldn't live here in the United States.
Intifada means
I don't care what it means. Explain what it actually means. Explain what it actually means. Explain what it actually means. Okay, you want to avoid the question, I'll say it for you. It's twice when Palestinians decided that they would go into Israel.
Intifada
and I speak Russian. What's your point?
Shaking off of
okay, and I don't care what it means. It's also what it means in context, right? So when a Palestinian calls and claims globalize the Intifada, they don't mean globalize the resistance. They mean go after the oppressors and start killing people. Palestinians also believe that the land of Palestine is all encompassing of Israel. So when you talk about occupation,
it was
and Hamas, and Hamas is talking about what happened during the second. And it doesn't matter. They go in and they murder people. So you're talking about going in and murdering people. That's what it's actually talking about. That is the answer. No. It's not contextualizing. It's what legitimately happened as part of history. They went in and they murdered people. That's a fact. They went in and they murdered people. That's a fact.
And so Israel has globalize the Intifada.
All right, we're moving off the topic.
You can take your Intifada and you can go to Palestine and go kill your own.
See what I mean? I mean, they also have this beautiful game of being able to say, yeah, like the word Intifada might mean something, but in reality, what does it really mean, right? That's like what them saying is like, oh no, when they say Allahu Akbar, they're just basically saying, all praise to God. Praise to Allah. Really? While you're just absolutely laying out a machine gun on a Jewish family inside their home on a Saturday morning on the holiest Jewish holiday? That's what happened to come out of your mouth when you were doing that? What does it really mean? Globalize the Intifada. You could get somebody who lives in a cave that's never even heard of Israel or the Middle East or politics or government or any of that shit, and just be like, curious, you speak English, right? Sure. What comes to your mind when I say globalize the Intifada? They're not going to know what Intifada means. Globalize is a word that person will know what it means. And they're going to say something along the lines of create some sort of a movement around the world. Well, that is what we've seen. What has that movement actually looked like? That's what he was trying to get her to say. This is the exact phenomenon against Jewish students, the exact phenomenon against Zionists, the exact phenomenon against Starbucks, any institutions that are supporting Israel. That's what that means. Violently. That's the part that they always forget to miss out. How convenient. Thank you so much for all of your support. Love having these conversations with all of you. Here is the last minute note from me. Here are 4 ways you can help us grow if you believe in our mission. On Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal, you can directly contribute to helping this message grow and reach more people across the world. If you want to join the inner circle, join our Patreon with different tiers, and of course, our Discord community, which is free with people from all across the world. The links to every single one are in the description. And last but not least, to the other Brock community, I love you. Ani ohev otchem. I'll see you guys next time.